Such a
Rowan,
good
Rowan asked a good question. What
Yeah.
track's going to replace Ocala on the USPKS calendar?
That is a good
OKC.
question. And I would
Orlando.
say Orlando doesn't have a parking space.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they bought it back.
Pittsburgh.
They bought it
I think
back.
they have
Even with the
parking.
space they have, it's still a tight fit.
Nah.
With
Yeah,
the
it's gonna be tight.
back,
Yeah, that's true.
it's going to be really tight. It's interesting, though, because with the Florida guys following, now I think they're pretty set on that series. So if they wanted to try and move a Florida date away for the next year, I think they could do it. They have been talking for a long time of trying to see where they can inch their way to be a little bit bigger. And one track I know that has been vying really, really hard to get a USPKS date in the future is a track that's going to be having over 170 drivers, possibly more this weekend. That's Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston for the Texas Sprint Racing Series. Texas has been growing massively with that series, especially. They have 41 KA seniors this weekend racing. They are 20 plus in about every other class, or at least mid-teens. So that's a track that I think would be a fantastic pick for USPKS if they wanted to get their audience a little bit bigger. They already have a bunch of Texas teams following, Crosslink, Iron Rock, obviously Alan Rudolph Racing Academy, the actual Brellart team based at Speed Sports, follows the whole series as well. So there's a lot of guys already from Texas following. Makes it a lot easier for the guys out west too, the Arizona teams, the Colorado teams, to justify going, because Wisconsin's not necessarily that much farther east. And if they have a second date that kind of borders towards the center of the country, if they can manage to keep the loyalty of the Florida teams and lose that Florida date, I think they still do good. But Orlando would be a great option because that's a good track.
CMP.
Cincinnati's been trying to get up there. What were you going to say, Connor?
CMP. Does anyone like CMP?
The thing about CMP and the big thing these series always have to talk about is that Kershaw, South Carolina, is that if it's so close to another date in the series, then they're going to potentially lock out some of the audience, because if they don't feel like the series bounces around enough, they're not going to want to go there. So in the series, because they have to pick on a track in each region pretty much to get that region to hopefully follow the whole championship. If you have two in the same region too close, and that's the one issue I think the Cincinnati guys are going to run into. Hopefully not, and hopefully it's strong enough that they can do that. Or if the sports regional series in that area can support the track enough that it can take a year off a national date, you can rotate in the region. But with as big as GoPro is and as small as CMP is, I think it's going to be really hard pressed to see GoPro ever lose a date in a USPKS series beyond the relationship with Miami and everything because of CMP. But it'd be very interesting to see if it does go through. So Speed Sports, I think, is definitely on the short list for USPKS, or should be. The Cincinnati track with Trinity, those guys putting a lot of effort in. That could be it. New Jersey, I think the region isn't strong enough to support it, where enough local guys would be able to join the series to make it worthwhile to go that far northeast. But then Orlando is another option as well, if they can do it. The thing with Orlando, too, is it's such a tourist destination that those guys make so much money on rental carts just by location. It's really hard for them to justify completely blocking out a race weekend without hiking the rates up to the point the series doesn't make any money.
And
So that's another thing too.
Also, would
Go to Jacksonville.
Would Andre allow?
Rock.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Would Andre allow?
Andre's for racing. He's wanted to do it for quite some time now. He's been talking to me about wanting to get back to racing and have some events there. It's hard with the politics of karting, man. The way it's gotten nowadays with the tracks and Rock versus Miami and everybody wanting to be an Miami series or a Rock track. It's difficult to nail your track down to just one engine package and not let anybody else race it. So it's I don't know, as a track owner, I know it's very difficult to nowadays to plan a race. It's a lot more difficult than just blocking out a few days. You've got to dedicate your whole facility to one engine package now.
Yeah, they do want. I mean, the whole year gets structured around it, right? The series will not come if you can't usually provide about 50 to 75 club guys to supplement the touring people that follow the series. That's about the number, more or less, that each of these series is looking for in terms of a boost by going to a new region. And so for you to have 50 club guys go, you're only getting your top half of the club guys that'll even want to go to a national. So you've got to have a healthy club of at least 100 club drivers, and then all 100 of those guys need to be running Miami motors, or whatever motor is going to be that national event coming to town, or 50 out of the 100 to feel like they're good enough to go and enter that race and spend the extra money. And so, yeah, you're right. it seems, again, like you said, Andre's been working really hard to get racing there. He's been putting on a lot of, he has a free Kid Kart series he launched this year. He's got the club racing he's been still making a lot of time for. And Sunshine State Karting Challenge, the official Florida State Championship, is really trying hard to work with Andre, with them together to make that work. That's in the same family ownership group as the Homestead and Go Promoter Plex tracks. So there's a lot that company has going on. There's a lot, obviously, Andre's got going on. That's why that deal hasn't been finalized. But that could be a date that's coming together really soon. And that would at least be an Miami-based series laying the groundwork for the USPKS guys to come to town. So it's an option. It would just be really tight for sure on the parking.